This is the SES Defender of Freedom uploading data log for the week of days 166 through 172 of the Galactic War. Hello Data Archive. In the past week, Helldivers dove for science to determine the most efficacious methods of extracting E-710 with spectacular results and discoveries. But our advantageous position against the automatons has begun to slip, and Helldivers are called back once again to finish off the cut-off automaton legion once and for all. In the wake of our victories cutting off the automatons from Cyberstan, a Terminated outbreak attacked Turing, and Helldivers flooded to the defense of the planet. After days of waging war against the metal menaces, many Helldivers were itching to shoot a bug, and some were itching to shoot many bugs. And several hours into day 166, the defense of Turing succeeded. At this time, we had several liberation campaigns on the Terminated front, but Helldivers made their votes very clear on Akamar 4 being the next planet to liberate. On the automaton front, the ongoing defense was not looking good given the unspecified location of one of the attacks. With the automaton forces cut off, it was our opportunity to liberate the planets in the cut-off sector as their defenses were in disarray. Helldivers on the automaton front were then obviously focused on the planets easier to liberate within the cut-off sectors and deployed mostly to Acer Pass. Simply picking the planet closest to Super Earth, Helldivers primarily dove on Acer Pass, prioritizing it over the advantage we have in the cut-off sectors. The next major order then arrived, bringing the Helldivers back to the Terminated front. Given the overwhelming success of the previous Terminated research initiative, the Ministry of Science has requested a second, much larger research trial. Helldivers have been asked to shoot a bug, explode a bug, set a bug on fire, and whatever else their freedom-loving minds can think of. The goal will be to determine if there is a relationship between the method of extermination and E-710 production, following the learnings from the last research initiative that proved that E-710 production increased under extreme duress. A rotating set of complementary stratagems will be provided for the duration of this major order, allowing Helldivers to test out the destruction of the bugs with a variety of means. Within several hours of the announcement of the new major order, the defense was lost on the automaton front. But Helldivers remained on pace to eliminate the required amount of Terminids for their major order. The first science experiment then commenced, authorizing orbital rail cannon strikes to all super destroyers in the fleet. Throughout the rest of day 166 into the morning of 167, progress continued rapidly on Akamar 4, with Helldivers liberally applying pressure to the bugs by squishing them with orbital rail cannon strikes. Based on our scientific research log I took during our deployment, the bugs don't seem to like it, that is for sure. And on the other hand, Helldivers seem to quite enjoy it. Following the liberation of Akamar 4, the vote commenced on the next planet to be the focus for the next scientific campaign, and 40% of Helldivers chose to focus on Gakrux to finish the liberation of the Jinshi sector. Super Destroyers also received a notice regarding a systems update. It seems that a cybersecurity software update caused an unexpected outage for all Super Destroyer surveillance systems. Those affected by the blue screen of losing your right to vote were instructed to reboot their system approximately 15 times, which would resolve the issue. The next stratagem experiment began later on day 167 with the authorization of the LES-99 Quasar Cannon, giving Helldivers a reminder of a favorite Super Earth childhood activity of frying bugs with a magnifying glass. Still do it myself today when I get the chance. 24 hours following the authorization, the gap widened in our progress to 6%, putting us further ahead of schedule compared to the rail cannon strike. Based on our research notes, it seems the increased frequency of destruction with the Quasar cannon meant the bugs, also didn't like it. Then, the RL-77 airburst rocket launcher was then authorized as the next experiment. And surely nothing can go wrong with this, as I think they've worked out the kinks of the accidental friendly fire deaths as previously seen. Efforts continued until two new Terminated attacks broke out on Fenrir 3 and Boar Rock. Voting commenced once again, and Helldivers figured that Boar Rock sounded too boring, and decided to split forces and hold the line on Gakrux and protect the Umlaut sector in Fenrir 3. On the automaton front, in the past 2 days, Helldivers remained primarily on Acer Pass, but the liberation of the planet was continuing to not hold. On our cut-off sectors, progress was increasing notably on Vendalon 4, which reached 35%. In another desperate attack in their cut-off territory, the boss made a push on Kopessa 4. With Helldivers focused on science, very few came to the defense. And in the morning of day 169, a new strategic update was received, advising Helldivers that the socialist toasters are beginning to recuperate following their crushing defeat last week. They are rapidly repairing their logistics and communications infrastructure, increasing their defenses and resistance rates. Back on the science front, the defense of Fenrir 3 was successful, the first time jumping on the moon planet since the Meridia incident. The airburst rocket launcher had explosive results, being extremely effective in shooting bugs, clearing large hordes from a safe distance. We salute those Helldivers that lost their lives in the pursuit of science. Our research log for the airburst rocket launcher indicate that on average, more bugs did not like it. Finishing the liberation of Gakrux was prioritized next, as the defense of Bor Rock seemed too far out of reach and simply not interesting enough. With enough results gathered on the efficacy of the rocket launcher, High Command authorized the MD-14 incendiary mines to all Helldivers. And in the evening of day 169, the relatively uninteresting defense of Bor Rock was unfortunately lost, but Gakrux was liberated, commencing the vote on the next planet for science once again, and the widely popular Astanu was decided as the next battlefield for research. Keeping an eye on the automaton front, the defense of Coepessa 4 was lost, and the increased appliance resistance began wearing down our progress. Throughout the majority of day 170, Helldivers focused on Astanu to complete the major order. The incendiary mines were found to be very effective, but also sometimes appeared to have been engineered too well, making them too hard to detect, even for Helldivers. Our research notes also indicate a general dislike of incendiary mines by the bugs, and in the evening of day 170, the major order was successful, with Helldivers killing a whopping 1 billion Terminids in the name of science. The experimental research results driven by the Helldivers provided ample data to the Ministry of Science to further ongoing Terminid research efforts. It was found that no particular method of termination produced more E-710 than any others, but all of the hard effort spent to make the discovery were well worth it. The Ministry of Science did make one new finding from the amassed data, which is that the Terminid mutations decrease in frequency as they approach Super Earth. Or more concisely, it appears genetic variants are perpetuating from deep within Terminid space. For the remainder of the day into day 171, Helldivers continued their efforts on Astanu on the Terminid front and Coepessa 4 on the automaton front. With the bots not yet establishing their defenses on Coepessa 4, Helldivers simultaneously progressed both fronts until new orders were received halfway through the day, directing Helldivers back to the automaton front. The non-sentient scrap metal forces remain divided, and High Command urges Helldivers to continue the offensive momentum. It seems the electronic fools have come up with a plan of using orbital cannons to fire on our fleet, seeking to challenge our unfaltering aerial superiority. Their goal is to target our air forces, which is consequently extending extraction times by 45 seconds. But the stupid bots have left a very obvious weakness open to us. The cannons rely on an interconnected system spread across multiple planets, seemingly connected in series. The liberation of one of these planets destabilizes the entire system, returning extraction times to normal as it recalibrates. If we are able to liberate 2 planets successively within 12 hours, extraction times will be shortened for the remainder of the major order. The major order is to liberate Vega Bay, Weizen, Virilia 5, and Eustotu, and
Wasat system.
Yeah, we'll have to get back to you on that one, Data Archive. Following the receipt of new orders, Helldivers shifted back to the automaton front, prioritizing the importance of pressing our advantage against the automatons. Helldivers then began a 3-pronged assault on Vega Bay, Coepessa 4, and
Wasat system.
The liberation of Coepessa 4 completed by the end of day 171, shutting down the orbital defense grid for 12 hours. By the end of the day, our progress is trending behind pace. We will need to concentrate our efforts to liberate the designated planets in time. This concludes this data log for days 166 through 172, Data Archive. It is time to spill oil and destroy these useless toasters and take back our worlds. We are deploying Helldivers to finish the fight on,
The